All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome in. Jumping into the deep end of the pool today, but thank you for spending part of your day with us. My name is Rick with Move America. I am the strategic communications guru here, and I get the easy job today. I just have to talk while the smart guy does all the work. Now, I want you to look at that subtitle up there for a second. There we are. We've got this up here. Attesta, compliance made plain and simple. TurboTax for CMMC, built for small defense contractors who don't have time, money, or lawyers. Compliance made simple. I know those four words usually don't show up in the same sentence unless someone's about to sell you something. So let me just put your mind at ease. We are about to sell you something, but it's good. Stick with me. Here's the pitch in one line. It's TurboTax for CMMC. You don't need to understand the tax code to file your taxes, right? You just answer the questions and the software does all the scary math. That's exactly what we built for the 130,000 small defense contractors out there who don't have the time, the money, or the lawyers to wrestle a federal cybersecurity standard to the ground, pin it, and then dance around the ring with the belt. Joining me to walk you through how it actually works is the man who built the engine under the hood. It's Dwayne Wilson, our Director of Business Intelligence, Assessments, and Advanced Computing. I'm going to introduce him in just a minute, and in a minute, he's going to make me look very replaceable. So let's go ahead and get into it first. First, I want to get to some housekeeping. There we go. So with the housekeeping, this is the boring part, which I promise is the only boring part of the next 50 or so minutes. First, we've gone ahead and turned off everybody's microphone and camera. Now, look, don't take it personally. It's not you, it's all of you at once, because people tend to do that. They just sort of jump in and start yelling at each other. If you're watching this in pajama pants right now, guess what? Your secret is safe with us. You're perfectly fine. So, second, and this is the one that always gets us, take a peek at your display name up there. If it currently says iPhone and then it's followed by 9 random numbers, this is your moment to go ahead and fix that. We'd actually love to know who's in the room. And third, the chat is turned off, but the Q&A box is wide open and we want you to use it. Look, just drop your questions in there as they come to you. No question is too basic. That's literally the whole point of this product. And we're going to get to as many of those questions as we can as we go through. Now, lastly, we are coming to you from Move America headquarters today, which is located in the lovely state of Maryland, which is the home of Blue Crabs, the Baltimore Orioles, the Baltimore Ravens, and the two-party consent rule, which means that by staying on this webinar, you, even though your microphone is off and your camera is off, are consenting to be part of a recorded webinar. I know, it seems silly, but ask Linda Tripp about that. She'll tell you a very harrowing story. And if you don't know who that is, Google's your friend. So again, by staying on this webinar, you're giving us permission to be part of a recorded session, but we promise you, your name isn't going to get out there in lights. This is all really about our subject today, not about our attendees. So anything, no. Okay, that's it. If you are still here, we're thrilled to have you. Now, let me actually introduce the guy who's properly going to take us through this, because let me tell you something, his bio is something else. So we've got Dwayne Wilson, and I'm going to throw it out there. He's a PhD, which stands for Piled High with Discipline. That man is amazing. He's our Director of Business Intelligence, Assessments, and Advanced Computing. Now, it's a long way to say that he's the person who lives and breathes NIST 800-171 and CMMC so that you never have to. He leads our cybersecurity and compliance support for defense industrial-based businesses. And what I love about how he does it, his whole mission is about widening the door, getting cybersecurity resources and real opportunity into the hands of communities that have been locked out of this work for too long. Now, here's the part of the bio that I had to read twice and then try to make sure that I don't say anything bad about him. Dwayne trains in Krav Maga, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Judo, and Muay Thai. So just to be clear, he's the only person on this webinar who can secure your network and make you tap out from an armbar. So folks, if your compliance package is late, I'm going to tell you now, that's a you problem because I'm not ticking him off. But in all seriousness, he brings that same discipline, remember, piled high with discipline, to a real commitment to growth, resilience, and emotional health. And it shows up in how he leads and how he treats the people around him. I'm telling you, he's the genuine article. I'm proud to call him one of my brothers. I'm going to get out of the way. Dwayne, take it away. It is all yours.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rick. Never know what you're going to say before an introduction. So this one was one of the more colorful ones. I'm going to go off camera so the focus is on the chart. Welcome again. Thank you for taking some of your time to spend with us. I promise to get you out of here probably in less than 50 minutes. If you could go back to the problem slide for a second. So we've all basically either in a solicitation or a contract that you're seeking to procure received elements of that solicitation that it's called a defarce clause, right? And you didn't quite know what it was, or CMMC is something that everyone knows that they have to comply with, but it's a very complicated thing. It's written for lawyers, not necessarily contractors, especially those without a technical background. And as you know, if you've explored this, it's a very, very expensive pursuit. As a result, we built Attesta, and that name is effectively called Attesta for short, attestation, because the number is really wrong. 20,000 to 50,000 is a number that's quite high for something that can be simplified by a domain. I won't call myself an expert, but someone who has been around the block a time or two or three in the cybersecurity realm. It should not take someone like myself charging you an arm and leg to perform a self-assessment, which is allowed per CMMC, the standard for level 1 and level 2, given certain criteria. So this webinar is not to go over CMMC and the requirements thereof. Is to present you with this platform that we are seeking to pilot and launch that, as we said in the first slide, gives you kind of a similar feel to TurboTax, H&R Block. We all recently did our taxes, and this is what kind of motivated this tool and this presentation today. Next slide. Okay, so it's not going to be a huge slide presentation. This is actually the last slide. We're going to spend most of the time going through the tool and then hopefully fielding questions towards the end. So really 3 steps in the process of using this tool. So you answer 22 or so questions based on your organizational profile, and I'll go over what that means in a few minutes. Review your artifacts that it produces for you. We have, for demo purposes, 4 pre-written policies, but we will, in the full version, have all the policies that are required to supplement your answers within your system security plan. And then we also give you a download of the package and scoring that's required for you to submit to SPRS, or your SPRS score, which is your stamp of approval that you've actually conducted your self-assessment. And that's what either your prime contractor is going to be looking for, or the government is going to be looking for when it comes to looking over your artifacts from an assessment standpoint. One thing to note, if you all have questions, feel free to post them in the chat, and I'm fine with you interrupting. I'll try and get through this pretty quickly so that we could have a lot of time, but feel free to interject if there's something that I'm going through right at the moment that you need an answer for. I'm not the type of person that just likes to hear himself talk for 30 minutes. Okay. I believe this is the last slide. There's one more slide, but I think that is just basically if you're interested and you want to learn more, the contact information for Move America and our wonderful communications team. So with that said, I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so here we find ourselves basically on the welcome screen or your dashboard. Well, initial dashboard before you actually have filled out any questions. So as you see here, we have the option to either start your assessment and a demo mode. So the sidebar basically shows everything before this point, before we click this demo mode that needs to be completed. For the purposes of time, and again, to spend most of the time answering questions, we're going to pre-fill basically kind of the scoping information about your environment. I'm going to touch on the network diagram feature, generation feature, and then we'll jump into a few of the compliance questions. But what I don't want to do is bore you with me clicking through screens, but you'll get an idea of what we've developed once we go through everything. One important point to note, we have built in a knowledge base, which gives you kind of a general overview of CMMC, how it works in 4 steps, simplified steps, the levels explained, what federal contract information is versus CUI. For the purposes of this demo, we're going to be focusing on the right side, CUI, because FCI requires much less work and effort. But we have the initial questions will bifurcate basically your options into simplified questions for FCI, which is just CMMC level 1, or CMMC level 2, which requires you to answer all of the questions. The reason and one of the impetus for this tool that we developed. Asset categories, these were derived directly from the DoD CIO. We didn't make any of these things up. So this is the organization, in case you didn't know, that came up with CMMC and the requirements behind it. And this is the governing body that governs basically the requirements under this particular framework. So this is where the asset categories came from. Here's where we took some liberties based on our knowledge and our work within the space to come up with basically 3 tiers of organizations. You could think of them simply as a smaller organization, so micro, 1 to 10 people. Tier 2 is a slightly larger company, and then tier 3 is a much larger company. It's not really the number that we want to focus on here. It's really the technological maturity associated with each of these organizations. And the reason why it's important to understand this and break it down in this way is a micro-organization should have a much easier time in obtaining compliance than an organization that is 75 to 200 people and their technological stack, right? Or their infrastructure, architecture, whatever word you prefer, is more complex, right? So the less complex that your organization is, the simpler it should be for you. Similar to going back to the TurboTax analogy, you have your people who want to claim deductions at the end, right? So they want to reduce their taxable income. And then you have those who will just claim the standard deduction because they have a simple tax return. So that's what we tried to describe in a layperson terminology with layman person's terminology in this particular section. Here we have the control families, another glossary that you could search if you have questions that you want answered. And then here are the common questions that we just have heard over the years. So enough about the knowledge base, but I just wanted to spend a few moments on that. So let's go into the demo. So we're going to click demo mode, and you're going to see we've automatically completed 77% of this process. And what we've done is basically we've covered the getting started section. We selected CUI here, and then we described the systems that touch CUI, any specialized equipment. Specialized equipment we don't cover because it's more complex, and then description of your environment. The one thing I will touch on is one of the questions I've gotten many times working with different organizations is how do you build a network boundary diagram? And so I use basically, it's a format called SVG, which is a fancier, more robust version of the PNG or JPEG formats. It's just a picture format that allows you basically to create pretty cool diagrams like this. And based on your answers, it will actually create an appropriate scoping diagram for you to insert within your SSP. And you'll see in the generated SSP, we actually import this directly for you. So you don't have to be a network engineer in order to draw this diagram. Okay, so we'll say this looks right. And now we're going to start our compliance questions. I'm going to go through 2 or 3 of them just to give you an idea of how the platform works. Okay, so MFA, multi-factor authentication, where it's basically someone you are, a person you are, something you have, and then something you know, typically. And this is just a more advanced version of using a username and password, which anyone can guess. If you have a phone that you could receive a PIN code, you're using multi-factor authentication. So that in that case, it's 2-factor authentication. So for this question, we're going to select basically available, but some people skip or opt out, right? So general best practices, all organizations should actually enable mandatory MFA. So you shouldn't really let your employees determine whether or not they want to opt out or not. It's such an important security feature. But as you'll know, pay attention to the gaps and the controls resolved down here, and your SPRS score. It will change as we go along. So that's the question answer for MFA. So this one are your hard drives on all work computers encrypted. So basically your data at rest, so all your files and important documents on your computer systems, are they secured by some form of encryption? So we selected yes. One thing to note here is we thought about, but it's going to be a little bit more complicated, building in the version 1 an agent that runs on your system or your cloud or within your cloud environment to actually automatically collect evidence and dump it into a repository that you can point to as you go through your compliance checklist, like we're doing now. That will probably be launched in either the next version or 2 versions from now, because there's a lot of different operating systems and platforms that we have to consider. But for now, what we do tell you is how and where to collect your evidence from, right? So BitLocker is embedded in any Windows operating system. And so it will show you basically where you need to go to identify the configuration settings that you need to take a screenshot of in order to substantiate your claim that you have implemented this particular control. Okay, so the next few questions I'm going to just go through really quick, and I'm going to stop on one additional one.
Hey, Dwayne.
Yes.
We have a couple of questions. You want me to hold them to the end, or do you want me to ask them now?
Yeah, let's go ahead. I'll get to the question that I wanted to get to.
All right.
Listening.
Okay, very good. First one is, well, it's two questions really. Is this platform separate and distinct from links?
Yes.
Okay. And then how is it, if at all, interrelated with Project Spectrum? Dwayne, did we
Did I
lose you?
lose? Uh,
There
I'm
we are.
here.
Okay.
I'm here.
So the second part is how is it, if at all, interrelated with Project Spectrum?
So Project Spectrum, and actually it doesn't say so in my bio, but I actually worked with Spectrum for several years, and this is where kind of my experience in understanding the pain points small businesses have constantly and the reoccurrence of the same pain points. So that experience has driven me here. So Project Spectrum was always designed to be a framework in and of itself. I believe the owner who created Project Spectrum that was the goal. I don't know if it's gotten there quite yet. It's been years since I've worked with them, but the emphasis with Project Spectrum was on education uh, and providing tools uh, to help you basically uh, facilitate your own self-assessment. So with the tool, they have a specific one. I know because I've worked on it. Their tool allows you to go through all of the compliance questions, and it will produce and it'll help you produce an SPRS score at the end. But it will take you hours and hours to go through that because you have to go through for the 110 controls, every single one of the controls, and there's subordinate controls. So what I wanted to do is take that knowledge, and we still work with uh, Project Spectrum because it's our sister company. I have friends over there that serve as advisors, and the goal is basically to get you all closer to an easy button, for lack of a better way to say it, where you don't have to be a technical expert to perform your own self-assessment. So think of this as a level of abstraction above the tools that Project Spectrum gives you. But Project Spectrum has always been, to my knowledge and experience with them, an education first organization. And the ultimate goal is to become more of a framework in and of itself, where you be Project Spectrum certified, if that makes sense.
Nope, absolutely. We got a couple more questions. I'm going to ask one for right now, and then we can
Okay.
hold a couple for a little bit later. What if we plan on using a platform like Prevail? Does the platform know what is and is not covered, or is that something we would have to add manually?
Uh, the so I have experience with Prevail as well. So Prevail focuses on email, and so from a communications. So when you think about security, you think about it in really three different dimensions. So data in use, right? So when you're using information, can it be secure? Data in transit. So when you're sending information, is it secure? And then data at rest, right? There's probably people could argue with me other states of data, but those are kind of creation, right? So when data is created, there's an argument whether or not the creation process needs to be secured. But data in transit, data stored, and then data in use. Prevail focuses on they built basically an agent that could connect, or a plugin that could connect to your Outlook. I believe they integrate with G Suite, and they basically secure your email communication. So if you want to send CUI to non-Prevail customers, uh, it works really really well. And they also provide you with a very sophisticated SSP that's probably 70 to 80% filled out because of the controls that it enables. But their focus is really on uh, the mechanisms through which you can implement a control. So they eliminate controls in a very unique way. This tool is not designed to eliminate controls. It's designed to eliminate the headache and the ambiguity in you answering questions that are technical in nature that might give you discomfort or may require you to call a consultant, which would cost you money.
All right, excellent. Like I said, we're going to hold the rest of the questions for a little bit later on.
Okay, yeah, we're almost done. So what I wanted to show in this particular one is uh, one of the policies that's required is an incident response plan. So we've all heard the phrase, everyone has a plan until they're punched in the face. Per probably my martial arts training, that's become a little bit more evident recently. Or your arm is broken or you need to tap on the mat. And so security doesn't stop with compliance. It really begins with compliance. So once compliance basically sets your baseline, and then there is a continuous monitoring requirement that helps you or forces you to monitor for deviations from that baseline, right? So let's say you're 100% secure, nobody is that's connected to the internet. Compliance monitoring or security monitoring monitors that 100% and all the situations that would get you below that 100% quote unquote compliance state, right? So incident response is, okay, you've done your best to your knowledge to secure your environment and the CUI within that environment, but a breach occurs, right? So do you have a written plan for what to do? There are templates out there, and so what we've done is for CMMC specifically and the controls that are required. We this is one of the questions that we're going to answer general, but general idea of what to do, but nothing written down. So as you know, the SPRS score, you were penalized for answering like that. If you answered yes, it would stay the same. But this is a really important one. Before, you'd have to be somewhat of a cybersecurity expert or incident response or incident handler to know how to build one of these, but we build one for you. And we'll see that basically at the end. I'm going to click through the rest of these. And then here, we're going to go ahead and generate your compliance package. And this is based on all of your answers. And we come to, I'll call it your secondary dashboard. Your initial dashboard was, okay, you haven't done anything. Now we have scored our company, our fictitious company, Apex Defense, at level 2. Here's our cage code. Knowledge base is still accessible from here or here. What I want to go through really quick is just these tabs. So the overview, basically, the most important things are the gaps to close. And these are questions you've answered either no to, or you're deferring basically to later. And that's one of the allowed answers for the SSP. So we have 3 gaps to close aligned with this number here. And then it will give you basically your next steps, which we're going to do. So we're going to go to the security plan section. So you can either look at it, plain text version of it, or the PDF version of it, which will import, as I mentioned before, that diagram, as well as give you kind of a summary of all the controls that you've implemented, and also your POAM, or plan of actions and milestones, which denote your gaps, the deduction from your SPRS score, and then your target. You have to have a remediation time frame in which you're going to address these things. You can't just say, oh, well, these aren't addressed, I'll get to them later. Later is going to get you penalized if it's discovered that you don't have a plan of action. And then you have a signature page. Coming back to this, action items are basically your gaps. Evidence, you can add evidence from wherever on your file system. cloud environment, etc., wherever you want to add evidence for. Because you can't just say you met a control. You have to provide the evidence to back that up and provide evidence artifacts. As I mentioned before, we give you kind of a step-by-step process as to how to collect that evidence, screenshots to take, etc. And these are your policies. The incident response plan was the one I spent way too long explaining. You also have the acceptable use policy, media sanitization procedure, and then a risk assessment template. All of these can be downloaded. For simplicity, I created them in text format, but these can be provided in any format that your organization prefers. And with that said, that is Attesta, right? So you basically have to answer the questions honestly, and you walk out with a complete compliance package in under 2 hours. The caveat being you still have to collect your evidence. We're trying to arduously solve that problem for you. Basically, we wanted to look at, okay, what takes the longest when it comes to CMMC compliance. We ran a pilot with, I believe, 6 companies recently. And these are CEOs, directors of such and such, executive officials within their organizations who have to worry about maintaining contracts with employees, doing business development, and now you've imposed this additional requirement on them. And so from my time at Project Spectrum, from our own organizational pursuit of our CMMC compliance, which we've done a really good job of doing that because we want to practice what we preach. The culmination is Attesta. And we hope that it is something that many people will take advantage of. And we're looking to start a pilot with it, with a few select candidates before we roll it out in its full state. But thank you for your time and attention. Happy to now field any additional questions.
All right. We're on it because we got a bunch that have come in. So first question is there a way to get a demo version of the software?
Yes, just we will send out contact information, and we're gonna go ahead and start that pilot very, very, very soon. When I say soon, let me not be general. Within the next 2 weeks is the goal.
Excellent. Another question, is there a glossary of terms so that you are clear what is being asked? For example, what is the definition of a network boundary diagram?
Yes, let me show. There's an issue with content sharing. Okay. Can you all see my screen again?
I'm going to bring it up right now. There you go. Yep, we could see it.
Okay. Yeah, so within the knowledge base, there's a glossary of terms that you could search through. And the point of the pilot is oftentimes organizations, let me see how to put this. I'll just say it. Think they know more than they actually do. Organizations or individuals, right? So you all saw my bio. That doesn't mean anything if I'm not hearing or understanding what the consumer wants. And so our model at Move America is to really develop what we call prototypes, right? And learn that from academia, but everyone's heard of that term. Pilot it and then get feedback so that when we actually launch a version, you all will have as much input as we had in designing something that is beneficial to all. And so this glossary is an example. All these things are modifiable, editable. You can add, remove things. So we're really looking for feedback. And so that's why we want to roll it out very soon. Long answer to your question, yes, there's a glossary, but it's not done by any stretch of the imagination.
All right. How frequently are control mappings updated when regulations change?
Instantly. So we're very cognizant of regulatory changes. And we're actually becoming a registered practitioner organization. I'm an RPO myself. And so it's important for us to do that so that you don't have to, and you could use a tool that's, constantly being updated.
All right, here comes, we'll call it the $1,000,000 question, although we're hoping that's not the answer. How much does Attesta cost?
So to be determined. From a competitive analysis perspective, we want to price it lower than our competitors, but not too low where it does not, it comes off as if we're just trying to, get sales and it be cheap. So if you're familiar with the cost of Prevail, it will be less than Prevail, but more than kind of the mom and pop version of these that I've seen over the years. That is a very vague answer, but yes, that's the best I can give you for right now.
All right. Vague is okay for right now. Vague is okay for right now. What continuous monitoring capabilities are included?
None. As I mentioned before, what we want to do is get this kind of validated. Let's call this our MVP, minimum viable product, or your prototype is another way of saying it, and get this working as best as we can, and then we're going to deploy basically versions of agents based on basically. Let me show you. Go back to the organizational scenarios. So you have these different types of organizations, and there's platforms that are very popular and kind of ubiquitously used amongst small to medium DIB organizations. For instance, Microsoft 365. And so that will probably be the first agent, as an example, that we roll out. And so within that, it makes no sense to build an agent that collects your evidence, but then does not monitor deviations against or from the norm. And so we'll package the agent, which helps you collect your evidence, and the associated continuous monitoring capability in the next version of the tool. But we wanted to get kind of the basic version set, and it'll get you, 80-90% of the way, and then we will help with that continuous monitoring on the next version.
Excellent. Where is Attesta hosted? Is it hosted in a FedRAMP authorized environment?
It will be. Currently, for this demo is hosted in, you see the URL. It's a platform called Netlify, but it will be hosted in an environment, and that environment will support multi-tenancy, which is a fancy way of saying when we're kids, your sandbox will not be played with by other organizations, and so we will host it in a FedRAMP approved environment. Definitely, of course.
Great. How is licensing structured? Is it users, systems, or controls? And are there storage limits?
We're looking at. I think the simplest example is a subscription model. So there won't be per an organization. We're not going to upsell like a lot of other organizations do. It's kind of like what's that cheap airline? Not Southwest.
Spirit?
One of these, yeah, Spirit. Yeah. So we've all flown on Spirit, and you get on the plane. Man, this is a really cheap seat, and you get charged for water. You get charged for buckling your seatbelt. You get charged for your luggage. So we're not trying to do that with our product suite that we're launching. So simple subscription based service. that will cover basically all the use cases and users that you want to deploy to use this at your organization.
Yeah, that's probably why Spirit is no more.
Oh, they are? Okay.
Does the system provide cure/suggestions for an identified CMMC gap?
Okay, so basically let's go back. Let me make sure I understand. So for these gaps, do you have a written plan for what to do if you're okay? So when you have a gap, does it provide recommendations? Uh, so in this case, the first one, it will provide the policy associated with that. So if you have a gap, if you had answered yes, it would not have provided that particular policy. Uh, so yes and no, but that's something that I will notate that needs to be rolled out in the initial version. That's a really good suggestion. So we tried to basically, if you have a gap, either solve it for you when we're actually generating your compliance package, or I need to add that, 1A would be to solve it for you, 1B would be to make those recommendations. Thank you for that suggestion and question.
All right. And then the last one I'm seeing for right now, where is or is there a website to get the latest information on Attesta?
Uh, Currently, we just have the demo, but uh, give me a day, there will be there will be a website.
Well, and what I was going to say is I would say that the best place to look is our LinkedIn profile. Make sure you're following us on LinkedIn because we'll be sure to put news up there. We'll also make sure that we can put information up on our Move America website, which is moveamerica.org. All right, it looks like we got another question that popped in. In the meantime, nope, it was just a you are welcome for the thank you. So, all right, any further questions? So, Dwayne, I got one. Do you sleep at night?
Yeah, I get an extra hour because I'm Central Standard Time. Yeah, I have no problems with that.
Oh, good to know. Good to know. Good to know. All right, not seeing any other questions. If we could go ahead and pop the presentation back up, we can go ahead and, oh, wait. We got one more. Hang on. All right, so if you're going to ask a question, I cannot call on you. Please just make sure that you're putting it in the Q&A panel. Here we go. All right, so it says, please provide further details on pricing will be less than Prevail. At their website, new pricing page, per user pricing is $25 a month for individuals, $30 a month for business users, and there is a get a quote button for government community users to get custom pricing. On the assumption that Attesta will be less than the undefined government community price, more details are needed on pricing. I mean, I think as Dwayne had said, we've not yet really price this out. That's really it's going to be running this pilot program, and then when we bring it to market, that's when we're going to do, our we're gonna set up the pricing on it. Correct?
Yeah, so one thing I'll add to that is Prevail's per user pricing. If you look at the details, and they're very transparent on their site. I know several people over at Prevail. Good, really good product, really good people. Uh, and this is not really a competitor product to theirs. It's kind of sits in a different lane. So their per user pricing, uh, to my knowledge, if I remember, is for uh, the simple version. That I want to say it's level 1, if I remember correctly. But anyways, we will definitely provide all the details that you will need to make a decision from a pricing standpoint.
Excellent. All right. All right, so we're gonna call an end to the questions, and again, if there's something that didn't get answered, you'll have an opportunity to ask us. So we really do Dwayne, appreciate you taking your time today. Folks, look, here's the thing. That's the whole thing, right? We're talking about 22 plain English questions. We're talking about your full compliance generated for you, your full compliance package. We're talking about a real SPRS score done in about 2 hours for, basically what we're hoping is going to be under $1,000. No consultant, no lawyer, no second mortgage, the way it should have been all along. So here's what you do next. Everything you need to know is right up here on the screen, right? You head to moveamerica.org. And again, we're going to keep you updated there. We are going to work to get an Attesta page up on our website in the coming weeks as the pilot starts to roll out, and we'll get you more information. Like I said, you can connect with us on LinkedIn at moveamerica-org so you don't miss what's coming, because we're going to make that announcement there. And if you've got a question that didn't make it into the Q&A, or you just want to talk through it with a human, all you have to do is send us an email. We'll make sure that gets routed properly. communications@moveamerica.org. That one comes to my team, and I guarantee you we actually answer. Now, this is the work we're built for, right? Standing up regional hubs, operationalizing ecosystems, and making sure the small shops that power the defense industrial base are not left behind because the paperwork was designed to scare them off. All right, so again, big thank you to Dwayne Wilson for coming out here, showing us Attesta, taking time out of his busy schedule, and being a super fantastic demo presenter in this webinar. I want to thank Meg Pace for putting this all together. Our team would not run without Meg, so thank you very much, Meg, our strategic communications extraordinaire person. And I want to thank all of you for being here. I'm going to say right now, I want you to focus on getting compliant, and that's what we're going to help you do with this platform, because guess what? In a year where AI is coming for just about every job on earth, to answer 22 questions and get certified, I would have to say that's probably the one task you actually want a computer doing for you. So be on the lookout for more information. Thanks for taking time to share with us today. Everybody take care. Enjoy yourself more than Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift at the NBA playoffs, and we will talk to you again very soon.